Welcome to our next session for Align 17, the virtual summit dedicated to all things B2B sales and marketing alignment. I'm here today with a rising star in the world of sales development, a guy who has really taken the lead in raising the profile of this new role that kind of sits between marketing and sales. A perfect guy to interview for this. He works at a company that's on the cutting edge of sales marketing alignment. Terminus. Morgan Ingram, glad to have you on, man. How you doing?
I'm fired up, man, and I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Man, I'm great. And honestly, just I love you because you are always in go mode.
For sure. Only time that I'm really not doing anything is when I'm sleeping, right? So that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And representing the South here too with me as well, with
Yes,
the small
sure.
SaaS, the small but growing SaaS contingent we've got down here. So excited to have you on, man. The goal today is to kind of discuss your expertise and talk about what you're seeing in the world of sales development, how teams are aligning the role with their existing account executives, with marketing, with the sort of new hybrid schematics we're seeing with how teams are running outbound strategies. So, Pump, man, the goal here is just kind of let you have the floor and get your insights. So start by telling people who you are and what Terminus does.
Awesome. So Morgan J. Ingram, graduated from the University of Georgia in 2015 with a sports management and finance double major. Prior to that, I've actually been in Atlanta, Georgia my entire life. So for 24 years, I've been here. And, when I graduated college, I was like, what am I going to do? Right. I wanted to be a sports agent, but, law school was just not in the play. So, after I decided, hey, I want to go to law school to go be a sports agent, I decided to just go connect with like-minded people. I found the Atlanta Tech Village, networked with a couple of people, found that Terminus just got basically a round of funding. I had no idea what that was at the time, but I knew they got funded, so obviously that's a good thing. Connected with the individual there, he told me about Terminus, cold call the director of sales for a sales job there, got into the interview, and they got accepted in that interview process. And so after I got accepted at the sales development rep role, what I was doing there is basically reaching out to net new accounts and basically converting those over to account executives so they can close that business. I did that role for a year. While I was in that role, I started something called the SDR Chronicles YouTube series that documented my life, my progression as a sales development rep, motivational videos, tips, tactics, different people I brought on the show, continually doing it now. And, after that year of really excelling in the SDR role and that documentation, I got promoted to an SDR manager where I now manage a team of 7 reps. And basically, going out there every single day, making sure that my reps are qualified. And so what we're doing at Terminus is we have an account-based marketing platform that allows you to get in front of the key stakeholders wherever they go across the internet. And basically, in return, that actually helps accelerate pipeline and increase brand awareness. So we're a proactive marketing outbound tool, and we're helping B2B marketers be superheroes.
That's a great distillation of account-based marketing. I've heard a million explanations. That's one of the best yet. So yeah, man, you are a guy who's doing things very, very differently, but you're making some very important, I think, just cutting edge strides here for sales and marketing right now. So give us Terminus' story about how they started, what the growth has been like there, and what's really driven the need for and the demand for the type of platform that you guys have.
100%. So Terminus has been basically, it was founded in 2014. Product started kind of rolling out in 2015. So at the end of the day, collective minds came together, Eric Spett, Eric Vass, and Sangram, and they found that there was a gap in the marketplace. So what that gap was is our CMO Sangram said, these marketers are gaining tons and tons of leads, but those leads aren't turning into revenue. And so, according to Forrester, only less than 1% of leads turn into revenue, right? And that's not a good percentage. So what basically the problem we're trying to solve is that, hey, marketers are creating demand, they're doing these things, they're getting involved, but at the end of the day, they're actually not converting those opportunities into something that's actually worth something, and they're actually wasting marketing dollars, wasting ad dollars on things, on people that are actually not investing into your product. So what the ABM strategy is it's very simple, right? Identifying your best fit accounts, within those best fit accounts, finding those key stakeholders, and then when you find those key stakeholders, designing a tailored message for them so that they actually can resonate with you and they become advocates for you at the end of the day, right? So what our tool does is that we allow you to engage with those key stakeholders on their terms. And when we engage with them on their terms, they're going to be more receptive to actually being like, yes, this is actually what I want, instead of you gaining thousands and 5,000s of leads and only 2 turn into customers. And you're kind of like burning the earth, and it's actually not good at the end of the day, and your customer sales cycle is not going to be as fruitful as if you take that ABM-centric approach, which Terminus allows you to do, and really get in front of those people that you're trying to reach so that you can engage and drum up interest, and your sales team can also reach out to those accounts that are gaining that interest as well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people have sort of dismissed ABM as, oh, this is what enterprise sales has always been.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear that, but I mean, to me, right, this is you have, on the one hand, you could have one sales guy trying to convert 5.6 decision makers with marketing in a very passive role, helping a little bit, or you could have marketing, being proactive and getting out in front of it and accelerating things so that he, or she isn't having to do all of the legwork to close the accounts. The technology did exist, I guess, back in the day, but now we've reached the point where this is something that's very real and is being utilized frequently, as it should be. Right.
100%. And you have to really lock in and focus on this ABM-centric model, right? Even for sales and marketing, it's account-based marketing is just allowing marketing to basically catch up to what sales is pretty much already doing. Sales has always been closing accounts, like I close Coca-Cola, I close Sears. You didn't say I close, Matt, right? Like, it's like, what? You close the account, right? So, and that's where we're really trying to go. And that's really the future, is that like focusing on these accounts and being really tailored and focused, because the buyer is so knowledgeable now. The buyer knows a lot before they're even in the sales cycle. And before that wasn't the case. Now that it is the case, it needs to be more tailored. It has to be more focused, or basically there's just going to be a gap at the end of the day, and your business won't be able to flourish as much as it can.
Yeah, that's a great points all around, man. And so let's go to what I think is really compelling about you and what you're doing in this sort of very just new space. And so you came in, you started the SDR Chronicles, and SDRs, we have you give your definition here in a sec. But your job is essentially lead generation for the company. But what you did was you kind of followed the Gary Vee model, if you will, and found a way to do mass lead gen as one SDR with this very compelling visual video content. And you create a persona and brand almost unto yourself as an SDR, not as a marketing leader, or a sales leader, or a C-level person, but as just a young, hungry guy. And so it's sort of goes to the evolution of the sales development. What is that role in general, right? And so tell people about what you did when you came in the role, sort of how you kind of figured out this new approach and the impacts it's had.
100%. So first of all, overall, it's like when you enter into something that you may not understand, you always have to do things that are unique at the end of the day, because you have to understand every single person that is in your position is probably told the exact same thing. So as an SDR, you think, oh, this job's easy, like no one's doing what I'm doing. That's completely false. There's hundreds and hundreds of SDRs reaching out to that same prospect that you're trying to get a meeting with. So you have to be unique. So there was a multitude of things that I did to stay ahead of the game. I think one thing that I did every single day was, always be learning, ABL, right? You have to always be learning something every single day, 1% growth, to get yourself ahead of the industry. And what I like to say is that, like, you need to be able to speak your prospect's language. It's like if you went into a Spanish-speaking restaurant that said Spanish only, and you went in there and started talking English, they laugh at you and they like, get out of this restaurant, like you don't speak Spanish, right? So the biggest thing with is the same thing applies here as an SDR. You have to be able to speak the language of the prospects that you're talking to. So, I was watching a ton of stuff on account-based marketing. But every time I learned about account-based marketing, I was learning it from B2B marketers. I wasn't learning it from just like some, random person. It was people who were actually in marketing doing these roles and talking about like why ABM was important to them. So then the more I started listening to the case studies, the more I started listening to the webinars and listening to these things, the more I started gaining more knowledge. And so when I was talking to the prospects, they saw me as a consultative marketer instead of a salesperson that was just calling them out of the blue. And so that's something that I came in and I knew that was super important. I think number 2 thing that I did is that I really tried to understand their needs instead of understanding my needs. So, as a salesperson, like, this is the value, like, this is what we can do. This is how our product works. Like, this is what it's going to do. Instead of being like, hey, I actually see that you operate within these type of measures, and our solution can actually tie into what you're doing. So I found out that was actually one of the most beneficial things, is by just doing that, like getting involved with that, actually getting in the weeds and figuring out what they actually care about, and then actually putting value on top of that with what our solution is. And I think another key thing that I did was video. So this kind of goes into the SDR Chronicles, but towards, I think it was like 7-8 months in the role, Vidyard, kind of released their Viewed It tool, and you could basically say like, hey, like, my name is so-and-so, like, my name is Morgan, I'm from Terminus, and like, I've actually been researching on your profile, and I found out that, hey, look, looks like you're looking at account-based marketing. We're actually in a account-based marketing tool that can help you get in front of the key stakeholders proactively. So the reason that this is super helpful is because it actually creates humanity between me and the prospect. I'm not just a robot that's emailing you that you think it is. I'm not just some random person calling you. Like, I actually took the time, made a video, expressed my excitement, enthusiasm, and now you're like, wow, okay, I definitely want to, take at least 30 minutes to have an introductory call to see if this product's even worth my time investing into. And so also the SDR Chronicles is another thing that I did that was unique, because, I basically every single week I was posting something about my role as sales development. I was talking about how I was handling objections uniquely, how I actually did a different type of intro than like, how's your day going? I would just straight up call people out and be like, how do you normally take a cold call? Or I'd be like, hey, look, what did I catch you in the middle of? Like, I was basically showing people the success I was having in this role, but I was willing to give away all those tips and secrets for free. And that really resonated with people, because I was also in the role. I wasn't someone who was like, Joe Smo, just like walking the street making videos. I was actually like in the SDR role doing it. And so that amplified so much for personal brand and so much for like the perception of me, because, if you ask me a question on sales development, I know it because I was in the role. And I think that's super crucial, wherever you're at right now, if you're doing something, to document it, to show, to articulate what you're actually doing, and actually showing the success that you're already doing, like showing the work. Like, you're already doing the work, show the work if you're seeing success. So those are a couple things that I did in the SDR role, and that's kind of like the baseline of the SDR Chronicles, is that every single day I was showing the work of what I was doing every single day, and that got people fired up, because it was like, I understand that person because he's in the same position as me.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to go to kind of your first point there, which I think is like really important, gets overlooked with what you're doing. So it's not like you chose to do video because, oh, it's cool, like this is like some hip new thing, everyone's doing it. You very specifically thought about B2B marketers. You're marketing to marketers, you're speaking their language almost, and no one else is doing that. And me as a marketer, when I saw you doing that, and I'm your target persona, I like instantly connected. Now an accountant, maybe not, or a CFO, maybe not, but a marketer, that channel choice and the way you did that was very strategically chosen. I love the speaking the buyer's language. And then also, everything you said about showing the props, giving away knowledge for free, communicating with them in a marketing almost language of adding value and not trying to sell. You're representing the value prop, like you said, that Terminus gives, which is I think critical for people, no matter what you're doing. If you're in logistics, in finance, in SaaS, whatever. If you're selling to a CFO, being able to get on their level in a meeting and talking to them, that's all messaging, that's differentiation, that's building credibility, and that's just leveraging technology efficiently in one fell swoop. So that's like the platonic ideal.
Yeah, I mean, in order to create the things that you want and hit the goals that you want, you have to be able to create a lifestyle around what you're doing. So, my whole thing is it's a lifestyle, right? Like, people ask like, how are you doing this and this? Like, no, it's a lifestyle. Like, this is a part of who I am. But like, at the same time, you got to find things that excite you. Like the things that I do, they don't bore me, right? They actually excite me. They get me fired up to do them. So you always have to find out avenues and patterns that excite you so that you can continuously execute and distribute the content or whatever you need to do at the end of the day to create that demand or to create that generation that you want. You have to create a system. You have to create a process that you can basically input your content in every single day or input your value into every single day so that you can get the return that you want.
Yeah, and so let's go now. So taking that a step first, now you've been promoted. You're the ESPI manager now. You're managing sales development for Terminus. How are you trying to implement those kinds of strategies across your team, and how are you managing and combining all this stuff you did as a rep now as a leader?
Right. So I see it as one big puzzle, right? So everything is a big puzzle with each rep. And so I have a ton of puzzle pieces that I can give you over the course of my SDR tenure, but I don't expect anyone to do what I did, right? I don't expect people to be like, hey, I'm going to start SDR Chronicles 2.0. Like, I don't expect any of my reps to do that. I really don't. But what I do expect is for them to play to their strengths and execute those on full front. So what I mean by that is, like, prime example, there's a rep on my team. She's amazing at videos. So I just tell her, like, hey, look, like, you need to focus more on videos, and we need to make sure that videos is a part of what you do as your outreach. Like, you're probably going to make less calls. You're probably going to do less emails. But if you're going to get a higher ROI by doing more videos, I'm going to tell you to do more videos. Now, there's some people on the team who are not that good at videos. So it's like, hey, what are you better at? Okay, you're really good at just personalized outreach. Great. We need to figure out how to do emails at scale. Someone may be really good at just getting on the phone. They can just get anybody to get on the phone. It turns into a demo. Great. You need to be making more dials, right? So what I do for my team is really just, there's two things, right? One, like I talked about, is the strengths. The strength is the most important thing. Like, whatever your strengths are, I'm going to find them out and I'm going to execute on them. I'm going to harp on them all the day long. And I'm going to make sure that you have the right repertoire and tools and resources to be successful with that strength. The number two thing is to shift your mindset to believe that you're unstoppable, and the goals that you set for yourself, you're going to hold yourself accountable to. And I feel like the biggest mistake for managers and leaders is giving people an expectation that they don't believe that they can hit, which is, okay, you want to do that, that's fine. But I believe that, like, you want to basically give your reps the mindset and the motivation and the courage to where they start setting expectations for themselves that overexceed the expectations that you would have given them in the first place. So for all my reps right now, like, their expectations of themselves are very high. So my whole thing is just holding them accountable to those standards. But how they got there in the first place is that basically I have given them the mindset to make them believe that that's what they can do. So I've shifted their mindset towards success and abundance instead of scarcity and not believing in themselves.
Yeah, and so that's your culture you're creating sounds like it's based on creativity and tripling down strengths.
Yeah.
And basically enabling people to set their goals and then giving them the support and confidence to go hit them. So do you think do you think that this is, because what you're doing is very unique. I mean, you're taking this is like cutting edge. This is frankly not how a lot of teams do it. Do you think this is almost a byproduct of the mission of Terminus itself and where you stand in the market and sort of being on the cutting edge of account-based marketing, having your reps and your own success is sort of tied to the mission of the company and the product itself?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, because we're all about marketing sales alignment. So, we have a ton of programs that run in the background to help us be successful as a sales development team. And I also believe just because we have helped to build this category of account-based marketing and kind of been, on the forefront with the Flip My Funnels that we've done and the conferences that we put on and just how much we really talk about account-based marketing, it definitely has helped that innovativeness within the company that other people can be innovative. I can come in and say some things that I believe is intelligent, and also kind of promote that in a way that other people see like, okay, that's really awesome. Like, I'm going to follow suit with that. So I think the cutting edge and the forwardness has allowed a lot more room for basically leaders in our company to do certain things, especially like myself, who's created the SDR Chronicles, has basically used those videos to help other people, and then using those tips to help accelerate those people as well. So that's been super beneficial, because I've seen the growth from that. I've seen when people actually are allowed to amplify on their strengths and be comfortable in their own identity, they obviously will do better at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's cool because it aligns. This has been done before with like HubSpot,
right?
Creating a model based off the product it offered and having incredible success by practicing reach or outreach. Even look at what they're doing, having this model hyper efficient outbound. Using their product to practice what they preach, and that's sort of regardless of what you're selling, if you live by that and you believe in what you're doing, and so much that you implement it into what you're doing, that's powerful. Can you describe to me, and I want to be careful of time here, can you describe to me the most creative thing you've seen a Terminus customer doing in terms of strategy and how they're aligning sales and marketing?
Yeah, so just being the knowledge that I have thus far has been something cool. Version 1, one of our customers do really great things, is that what they're doing is they're just syndicating with the data they have. So basically the coolest thing that they're doing is they're using Terminus to basically see, okay, these are the people that are already engaging with us on stuff that we already see that they're engaging with. And basically what they do is they're amplifying on top of that. So what they're doing is that they already know that the people that are engaged with them, so they got one ABM program of the year. And the reason that they're doing so well at ABM is because they're just finding the people that are already have interest and already slowly raising their hand. And they're just putting Terminus ads proactively in front of them. And so when they put those Terminus ads proactively in front of them, they're doing direct mail campaigns, they're doing calls, they're doing putting a Vidyard mix in there. So they already know where people are at. Now they're just amplifying on that and adding more measures to it. So I think what version 1 is, what they're doing is cool. With the optics that I know is that they're really just doing things differently with Terminus. They're strategically using things that make sense. Like they're getting in front of those people, they're doing the right things, they're engaging with the right people, and they're just seeing a higher usage of the platform. They're seeing a higher voltage, I would say, and energy from it, because the people that they're going after have seen major interest, and they're getting in there in the weeds, and they're really doing cool stuff.
I love it, man. I love that you're talking about the power of ABM to close people almost.
Yeah.
In some ways, I mean, it goes to another company I'm very close with that's out of Chattanooga, Bellhop's, super high growth, moving company. On the B2B side, they've started doing Facebook retargeting on B2B accounts who've been to their website but haven't converted, and they're just hammering them with helpful content about B2B moving. All of a sudden these people are coming in and we're ultra warm, ready to close demos.
Yeah.
The final question I'm going to ask for you, because I think you are really interested in hearing your insights on this, is when you're hiring, you're building a team and you're looking for people who are, probably around your age, the 24 demographic probably as well as anyone we're interviewing. What are you looking for? What are the touchstones you see or the signposts that make you want to hire somebody?
Yeah. So I have 5 main questions that I ask every single person. And based off those 5 questions, I can normally tell okay, where's this person, where their head's at, right? So the biggest thing for me out of those 5 questions, the biggest thing is what is your intrinsic motivation? What actually motivates you to even want to even be here, right? And what is actually like getting you going? Like what actually is making you work, right? So by finding out what that intrinsic motivation is, it's very interesting. You can find out how much someone's really actually thought about that, because most people are like, wait, I actually don't really know. Like, I just feel like I just need to do this, right? A lot of people just don't know. Or some people are locked in. They're like, this is exactly why I'm motivated. And the people that can kind of answer that a little bit better than others end up kind of having a higher will. And so what I mean by higher will is that these are the people who are like, no matter what, like they're just going to keep going. And you can basically teach them because their willpower to learn and their willpower to be successful, it out exceeds everything else. And so what happens is a lot of times you get people who have very high skill, but they have a low will. So they don't really have the willpower to make it. But if you have high will, that means you're mentally tough, you're mentally strong, you're doing the right things to get ahead of the game. You're going to be willing to learn because you don't like losing and you're competitive. And also number 3, like you're willing, you have faced obstacles and you face adversity. And one of the biggest things in this role is that a lot of people can't face rejection and they don't like going through obstacles, which is 100% what the SDR role is. Like it's facing rejection and facing obstacles. So if you don't have the willpower to face through that, you will not be successful. So the people that I look for are people who you don't have to be fired up as me. You don't have to be like energetic and social. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you have an inner fire to actually succeed, to actually go out there and get it. And when, you have a bad week, you're not crying about it. And next week you have another bad week and then you get really depressed about it. You keep a steady mindset, which is, the very first video I did on my SDR Chronicles. The reason I did that as a first video is because if you don't have a steady mindset, like the highs and lows of the emotions of this role will basically wipe you out. So at the end of the day, I'm looking for people who are mentally tough, who have the willpower to succeed and have the inner fire to really achieve the goals that they want in their life.
I love that, man. And I think it's telling that you value competitiveness that much. Actually, someone asked me, I believe it was the sales development leader for Lead Genius, and I were discussing this at Dreamforce. Do you value creativity or do you value competitiveness? Which is more important? And in sales or marketing, I told him competitiveness, because that's what's going to drive you. If you're competitive and you have a will to win, that will inspire the creativity, because you're going to be, I'd rather have somebody who's just like ruthlessly, just like pathologically competitive, Jordan-esque, and maybe is not somebody who has this natural artistic flair, but is going to learn, is going to just become creative and will do whatever it takes, because necessity is the mother of invention. My final question real quick is, number one strategy you've implemented, number one for sales, marketing, alignment, number one thing that's driven growth for you and for Terminus. What's it been?
So here it is. Like everyone's might use this from here on out, but this is the number one strategy. My number one strategy has literally been at events. I think events is like the best time that you can really make it happen. So what I did is that I took a picture of Account-Based Marketing for Dummies, written by our CMO, Sangram. And I took that picture in front of our booth and I was like smiling, and I was like, and it literally was like, "Come get your book" was the subject line. And I said like, "Hi, like so-and-so, like, hi, Amy. I've been reaching out to you a couple times and just haven't had the opportunity to connect with you. However, I have a book for you waiting at the booth. Please come by and get it when you get a chance," smiley face. And there's a picture of me like smiling at the booth. Like that email literally was one of the best emails of all time, the best strategies I've ever thought of, like on the spot, like while I was at Serious Decisions. And I had like probably 30 to 40 people just come to the booth and they're like, "I saw your email. I never respond to anything. I never actually pay any attention to this, but it was so creative and and just caught my attention that I had to come over here and get a book." And because they got a book, obviously we set the demo, and like obviously that helped increase pipeline. But that was probably one of my most favorite strategies that I've done.
I love that. That's such a great answer.
Yeah.
Of course, and I'm not that's quintessential. That take notes. I'm probably
That's one of my best.
Yeah. Sounds good, Morgan. We'll get, obviously people can get a lot more insights from you. You've got tons of content there. Tell them where they can watch your videos, read your stuff, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So Morgan J. Ingram on LinkedIn, at Morgan J. Ingram on Twitter and Instagram. And then where I'm basically posting a ton of stuff, I'm continuously pumping out sales development content, tech content, and leadership content, the SDR Chronicles on YouTube. So those are the 4 main places where I'm really dropping down some knowledge. And on LinkedIn, feel free, Morgan J. Ingram, send me a connection request. Always willing to answer questions.
You have dozens more of these strategies. Check those out. Morgan, thanks for coming on, man. Excellent interview. Everyone, thank you for attending. We will see you for the next session for Aligned, the virtual summit on B2B sales and marketing alignment.